All right, let's dive straight into this explainer. It's a pretty fascinating quirk of the human condition that we all inherently see ourselves as the main characters, the absolute heroes of our own stories. But here's the catch. The research shows we actually have massive, glaring blind spots about who we really are. We're kind of oblivious to what actually drives our behaviors and what we secretly desire. So today, we're going to unpack exactly how you can develop a profound, unflinching insight into your own life. So let me just ask you this point blank. Do you really know yourself? I mean, it sounds like a simple question, right? But the implications are huge. Does your internal self, that little voice in your head and your hidden values, actually match the external version of you that you present to the rest of the world? Or are you, like so many of us, just actively avoiding real self-knowledge because, let's be honest, facing it might be a little too uncomfortable? Well, figuring that out starts with mindfulness. It is literally the essential first step if you want to look at your life objectively. Basically, it's the practice of paying intense attention to exactly who you are in this very moment. And crucially, it's about observing your own emotional reactions without judging yourself for them. Instead of just letting your feelings blindly drive the steering wheel, mindfulness lets you step back and act as an objective observer of your own life.
All right, let's jump into section 1, mastering your inner world.
To actually master that inner world, we've got to take a really honest look at our daily habits. Think about things like alcohol, mindless entertainment, like doom scrolling on your phone for hours, or other problematic avoidance behaviors. We usually just brush these off, right? Like, oh, I'm just relaxing, or I'm blowing off steam. But here is the critical point. Engaging in these escapist activities is very often an active, intentional avoidance of hard introspection. We do these things specifically because getting to know ourselves is incredibly hard work, and frankly, we're trying to escape it. And that brings us to one of the biggest pitfalls in our inner world: social comparison. We all instinctively compare ourselves to others. It's natural, but we need to flip the script on this. Imagine you catch yourself constantly staring at a friend's larger, way more expensive home, and you feel that familiar knot of toxic jealousy. Instead of letting that eat at you, reframe it. Use it as a priority barometer. Ask yourself, why do I actually care about the size of their house? Is it a hidden desire for financial security? A wish for community respect? Your jealousy is actually just a compass pointing directly toward your own hidden priorities. Empowerment coach Nicolette Tura hits the nail on the head regarding this mindset shift. When you catch yourself stuck in that comparison trap, change the question from, why don't I have what they have, to, what can I learn from this person? Shifting your perspective to one of genuine openness and really leaning into your own unique path fosters immense, almost unbelievable personal growth. Now, as we're doing all this deep inner work, we have to shatter a super pervasive myth. There is no single unchanging self. Your identity isn't just carved in stone somewhere. Your life is highly dynamic, and it requires constant experimentation and adjustment. Developing true personal insight means keeping a really healthy balance. You want to stay true to your core values, absolutely, but you also need the courage to admit when your desires just have to change. It's essentially a journey to multiple truths over the course of your lifetime.
So how do we actually anchor this ever-changing dynamic self? By setting highly actionable goals. You have to focus on controlling what you can actually control. Go ahead and daydream about where you want to be in 5, 10, or 20 years. That's great. But then you absolutely must break those massive goals down. For example, if your grand vision is becoming my own boss, well, that's completely paralyzing. But breaking it down into a tiny micro action like expanding my professional network by reaching out to just one person today, now that is an achievable action plan that aligns directly with your inner values.
Moving right along to Section 2, the art of self-expression. One of the absolute best tools for getting this inner world expressed outwardly is just 15 minutes of daily journaling. It literally forces you to articulate your deepest desires. And hey, if you're staring at a blank page feeling completely stuck, use specific questions to smash right through that writer's block. Asking yourself something like, what topics make me uncomfortable to write about, is a phenomenal, almost sneaky way to bypass your own mental defenses and extract real, unfiltered self-knowledge. But beyond just the daily journaling, you kind of need a grander narrative. Think about it. Our memories are often super chaotic, just these fragmented bits of data floating around in our heads. By actively choosing to tell your life story, whether you decide to write a memoir, put together a really thoughtful photo album, or even shoot an overly dramatic short film, you force yourself to process all that chaos into a clear, cohesive narrative arc. And doing this helps you fundamentally understand the specific events that shape the person you are right now. And look, self-expression isn't just about words, right? It's highly visual, it's physical. Playfully experimenting with your identity is absolutely crucial. Try wearing a color you usually avoid like the plague. Change up your hairstyle. Go take a beginner's class in sculpting or dance. By experimenting with your self-presentation and trying out new creative hobbies, you're not just honing your external communication, you are actively revealing hidden personal tastes you probably never even knew you had. Okay, let's shift gears to section 3, seeing yourself through others. The logic on this one is just beautiful. In order to get to know yourself better, you actually have to get to know your loved ones better. By actively cultivating strong relationships, and I mean practicing real empathy, demonstrating active listening, and initiating deep conversations, you essentially create a mirror for yourself. The way you support others and how they step up to support you during those really confusing times in your life uncovers some deeply surprising and profound truths about your own character. But let's be real, friends and family aren't always enough. Because we humans are just so incredibly good at deceiving ourselves, it is an absolute necessity to find an objective listener. Whether that's a therapist, a psychologist, or just a fiercely honest mentor, you need someone who is completely removed from your day-to-day life to point out your blind spots, challenge your prejudices, and dismantle those comforting little lies we all tell ourselves. Out in your daily life, you've also got to become an active observer of the people around you. Start paying really close attention to the behavioral cues you get when interacting with old friends and new acquaintances. Like, how do people react when you walk into a room, when you speak up? Interpreting these reactions, especially from the people you deeply respect and admire, is a vital tool for getting real-time feedback on your values and how you present yourself. And finally, we arrive at section 4, exploring the outer world. We all love to think of ourselves as these totally independent, free-thinking individuals. But the truth is, culture completely saturates the self. Some cultures prioritize speech and outward debate as the ultimate path to self-knowledge, while others highly value silence, deep reflection, and internal harmony. You really have to step back and consider how your own native culture subconsciously dictates your life priorities, your career choices, and literally the very way you view yourself. Because our culture can lock us into some seriously rigid patterns, you have to actively challenge yourself to break out of your daily ruts. You can't just passively sit around hoping for new insights. You have to go hunt for them. Take a class on a topic you know literally nothing about, travel to a place you've never been, and actively strike up conversations with complete strangers. Immersing yourself in new ideas and totally unfamiliar environments is hands down the fastest way to test and stretch your own sense of self. You know, one of the most effective ways to interact with the outer world is simply by volunteering. Devoting just a few hours a week to helping a cause you care about does two huge things. First, it connects you with people from entirely different backgrounds who happen to share your core ideals. Second, it shifts your focus entirely outward. And ironically, doing that can unexpectedly reveal a brand new career pathway or give you a much deeper sense of purpose for your own life. Lastly, you've got to stay connected to the larger human story. Read the news daily from reputable journalists. But don't just consume the news passively. Use it as an active tool for self-reflection. Ask yourself, how do these massive global movements actually affect me? What do these events mean for my personal priorities today? Understanding your place in the broader context of the world brings your internal values into sharp, undeniable relief. So we're going to wrap this up with a real challenge for you. Are you ready to confront the unlikable parts of yourself? True insight requires us to stop running from our flaws. It means we stop using escapism to numb our reality, and we actively begin the dynamic, sometimes difficult, but absolutely incredible journey of self-discovery. The map is right there in front of you. The expanding circles of your mind, your expression, your relationships, and your world are all waiting. It's entirely up to you to take that first step.